Hello, today we're going to get into the introduction to educational research. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, what is educational research? It's the collection and analysis of educational information, or otherwise known as data, so as to understand and try to explain certain things better. It should be viewed as a critical process, one that's also reflexive and professionally oriented. It's all around us. Data is here, it's there. When we wake up, we're on our phones. Later on, we're doing emails. We're driving at certain speeds. We're trying to figure out how long it takes to get to certain spots. What's the cheapest place to find gas, all those good things. And it's particularly relevant for three types of people. Number one, those of us who seek after truth. Number two, those who seek to better understand their classrooms and their schools as practitioners. And number three, policymakers who are interested in improving their circumstances. Educational research is not always easy. It's messy, and sometimes you have to make decisions and judgments that have great implications and outcomes. And those are things to consider. On the next slide, we talk about the confines or the parameters with which guide our educational research. Most oftentimes, research is designed around particular theoretical lens, one or more, for instance, and you have to defend the decision of why you selected that one as opposed to others. For instance, if you're trying to determine if an intervention in a school can improve vocabulary knowledge, for instance, of sixth graders at a middle school, it would be sensible that you would be using a cognitive theoretical framework alongside perhaps a pre and post-test design using a norm-based, properly vetted assessment instrument like the GORT, the Gray Oral Reading Test, for instance. On the other hand, if you're examining how to create more peer-to-peer learning opportunities in the classroom, you might want to utilize more of a sociocultural theoretical lens that can situate the study in the working dynamics of human relationships within the school or classroom space. So those things will also be guided by the type of research question that you have formulated. You don't want to ask a quantitative question and seek out qualitative means to answer that. Or you don't want to seek an academic achievement question and then use more of a sociocultural framework to try to achieve that. Those are misalignments oftentimes. And so also, you don't want to be typecast by just one domain of educational research. You want to have a skill set across mixed methods, quantitative or even qualitative techniques, so that you can use whatever method is necessary to answer your specific research questions. So why do we carry out educational research in the first place? There are three primary reasons. Number one is to explore issues, those particularly that have the greatest influence on student learning, possibly even those that are emerging as hot in my particular area. So I would strongly encourage you to check out John Hattie's work from the University of Melbourne in Australia. And he has done a number of meta-analyses looking at what are those factors, the greatest factors that impact student achievement. Secondly, we do educational research to shape policy and understand implications of those policies. For instance, the Elementary and Secondary Education Act or the No Child Left Behind Act. When we have those policies in place, they're typically put into action because they're trying to solve a longstanding issue, right? But then we also need to be able to measure the relative success of those policies as well. And finally, we need to seek out to improve our practices through conducting educational research. And that could be related to teacher effectiveness or even student behavior. Maybe that's a problem in your particular classroom, or even academic achievement. We know that in this state in particular that Algebra 2 passing rates are around 68% the first time students in high school take that. And so those are sort of using numbers to warrant conducting further educational research to really try to improve our practice as teachers. And finally, the recipe for success as an educational research is wide-ranging. I jotted down a few buzzwords that I thought were relevant to our discussion today as we introduce this idea of educational research. We need to be able to correlate and evaluate and plan accordingly. We need to be able to clean data sets and examine what's all going on in our surrounding area. We need to be investigative We need to be able to prove or reason at times. And through this research, we're going to be comparing and contrasting and synthesizing and critiquing, organizing, analyzing, confirming, and we need to remain flexible in that process. And I think those people who are able to establish many of these skills mentioned here end up having more successful careers because they are the leaders of educational research in their school communities, in their districts, at their homes even at times. And so research and educational research go hand in hand and is truly part of the process of improvement through using data science over time. I encourage you to reach out if you have any questions about today's topic as an introduction to educational research. I wish you all the very best. Take care.